I try to understand how wind conditions affect ball flight and practice adjusting shot trajectories to minimize risk. Being able to quickly adapt your game to varying weather conditions is critical to staying competitive at any level.
Like a pro.
Just using the data to the best of our ability and trying to get as much out of it as we can and learn more input from the data in order to get better.
All right, Matt, preparing this week to head over to Scotland. What is it about playing in these conditions, some of the uncertainty, the wind, rain, that sometimes elevates your game compared to others?
When it is windy, when it is rainy, the scores aren't as good. The scores tend to be much higher. It's much more of a battle. I think you've really got to grind it out. Your short game's got to be good. Your scrambling's got to be good. And you just got to get the ball in the hole in few shots as possible. It doesn't matter how. And I think that's what makes the golf in Scotland so exciting, is there's so many different ways to do it. The golf course architecture allows you to do that. And obviously it's designed with the weather in mind.
So in calm and windy conditions, you've actually been very consistent, and I'm just going to read off a couple stats to you. So driver accuracy, 60.8% in calm conditions and 59.9% in windy conditions. Strokes gained driver, 0.485 versus 0.481. And putting was 0.544 versus 0.544.
Wow.
And they're very close to identical.
Yeah.
So does this give you confidence in your strategy that it is working?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's amazing in itself to hear that about the wind. I think growing up in the wind, where I did in Sheffield, it was always very windy, and I had to learn to control my ball flight kind of naturally as a junior. Just happened, and we never really played in the calm. So in a way, I was kind of not used to that. Whereas obviously the wind, I am. So those numbers do make sense from from where I've grown up and how I've always played the game. So it's certainly nice to be able to see that pay off, and hopefully we can play in some more wind.
Are there particular things, when you have the TrackMan set up and you're looking at, are there data points that you're keying in on, whether it's, the apex or, ball speed, to make sure you're hitting it how you want to hit it and are really in tune heading into that?
Yeah, I think probably peak height and spin, I think is probably two of the biggest ones. I think it's kind of easy to control your ball changing the spin. If you're hitting a softer shot, taking the spin off the ball, it's much more likely to go through the wind and not get hurt by the wind, which is obviously what you want. The wind gusts can be so unpredictable, you don't know how it's going to affect the ball. So the less time it spends in the air, or the less time it spends in the wind, the more predictable the outcome is, the better result you're going to have. So the spin rate is a big one, and then like you say, the apex height of the ball is a big one. You don't want to be someone who hits it high in the wind. Again, once it gets up there, it's going to be hard to control, and you're going to be behind the 8 ball straight away.